Hello, art people. Welcome to day 3 of ceramic life cycles. I am constructing figurines to represent a life cycle of my choice so that I can elaborate on my imaginative idea from the sketch I created on day 1. I'll know I've got it when I have built 4 figurines that are elaborations of my sketches from day 1 to represent a life cycle. Before we get started with our organism, we're going to practice putting 2 pieces of clay together because as you build your organisms, you're probably going to build a little piece of it and then put a piece on top of it. So for instance, you might build a leaf and then put an egg on top of it. So anytime you're putting 2 pieces of clay together, you have to do a few things, and we're going to do it together. We're just going to practice. So take a little bit of this clay off. These are your little practice pieces. Split this in half. Okay. And just you can make them into whatever shape as long as there's a flat-ish surface, just for our practicing putting 2 pieces of clay together. Okay, so let's pretend that this is a part of an organism and this is the other part of it, and you want to put these pieces together, or perhaps you want to put them on the base, right? This is what you have to do. The first step is to scratch. It's actually called score, if you want to be absolutely correct about it. So we need these clay tools. Just making these lines right here on the 2 parts of your pieces that you want to put together. So we're all making these lines. And again, this is called scratch or score. Technical, that was the word I was looking for. If you want to be technical about it, it's called scoring. But in elementary school, I just find that calling it scratching makes more sense because it's kind of looks like scratches, right? So we scratch that side, that piece, but we're not done yet. We have to then scratch the other piece. You don't have to scratch all the way around, just the part that's going to go onto the other part. So we scratch the 2 parts that are going to be touching when we stick them together. Okay, that's the first step. Step 2 is, as an elementary art teacher, I just call it drip, but the technical term is slip. So we need water. So you don't need to, you're not going to pour it on. You're not going to pour it on. You're just going to turn this into a little bit more sticky. So you just dip the very tip top of your finger, like the pad of your finger here. You don't even need to get your nail in it. See that? And then you just drip it onto the scratches. And you're not rubbing it, you just drip it. Drip, drip, drip. So now it's getting sticky, which is good. Then the next step, step 3, then you can stick it together. Let's all do that. So you take the scratched and dripped water sides and stick it together like so. And now that will stick together when it dries out. So when you put 2 pieces of clay together, you're going to be really tempted to just go, okay, it's together. Because it's going to feel like it would stay together, but when it dries, it will fall apart unless you do these things. So I'm just letting you know that if you, for instance, make a bunch of little circles, little balls like this for eggs, and then just stick them together and then stick them on the base, it's probably all going to fall apart when it's totally dry. I'm just warning you. But if you do the scratch, drip of water, and stick on each of them, then they should stay on. If you want to really, really make sure that they stay together, then you can do a 4th step, which is to smooth it. So just smoothing out those edges. But you might not be able to do that because you might need that line for your design. Okay. So that would be a 4th step if you wanted to. All right. Now, okay, I do have one more piece of advice actually before you guys get started. If you make something out of the clay and then don't like it and squish it all up and try again, and then don't like it and squish it all up and try again, kind of like you might do with Play-Doh, Well, that doesn't work as well with clay because the more you work with it, the more it touches your hands, the drier it gets. And it's really hard to work with dry clay. Just like it's really hard to work with dry Play Doh, it's really hard to work with dry clay. So, Play Doh dries out by leaving the cap open. Well, clay, that it dries out like that too. But another way you can dry out the clay is by just like working with it too much. So, you really need to think in your brain, okay, I need to make this shape, make it, and be done with it. All right, you guys, that is it for today. Next time, we will finish our organisms and attach our organisms. But that is all for right now. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.